Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430. It's been a couple weeks. Damien's been away and just we had an episode planned for last week, but then all those thunderstorms rolled through and we lost some power. So reached out to our good friend Sean Weaver and he said he would come on and start things up again. Sean, welcome back.
Feels good to be back.
So if people listen to the last episode, I think they might catch on that of all the people that's been on the podcast, you're the one that I've spent the most money from. Because it's like, oh, you got it. Have you seen this raccoon chasing after this? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to go get a 17 HMR and I got to get a new raccoon collar. Oh, have you heard of this author, Nate Nash? I'm like, oh, man. So, yeah, Sean does a good job of selling products on here. And I kind of figured
Well,
it was
that's
time.
that's my job ultimately, right? That's what marketing is.
Yeah. So, and it's a perfect segue into what's going on here. Lucky Duck has come out with a couple new things and
Yeah.
they just released them there. I guess they're not really that new, are they? Like the innovations to the Robo Duck.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
right. Like it's
refinements.
yeah.
right, totally. That's the way to put it, right? Is refining existing products. Like we just came out with the new XHDI, right? Which is stops white side down of the wings, spinning wing decoy, but and by the way, you wouldn't ever imagine how hard it is to actually get. Like there's a reason no companies come out with it before. It is hard to get the wings to stop white side down all the time. But so yeah, we just came out with that in XHDI.
But before you go on, like, why do you want it white side down? Like, I've hunted with some
Well,
guys that are like, who gives a shit? And then other guys are like, they'll sit there and they'll hit the remote over and over until it's white side down. Like, do you want to just tell people why we want that white side down?
So some guys duck hunting care. I don't personally care duck hunting. For me, it's a goose thing. I mean, geese, I don't know about where you guys are. I would imagine it's the same, but
Yeah.
geese are straight up allergic to those spinners, especially in the Midwest. I mean, they just like, I think it's everywhere, but I know that my experience hunting geese in the Midwest is like, if they see a spinner, they're splits. They're outie.
Abort.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so just finally getting those wings to not give away the spinner is, I mean, been working on it a long time.
Yeah. And it was kind of neat because I saw the announcement post and then the thing I like to do with all these innovations and stuff that I see come out is like read the comments. And you see these guys that are like, "Oh, well, that's stupid. I just paint the white part black." Well, you're kind of defeating the purpose of the white, right? Like the white is what's
Oh, for
giving you that
sure.
color contrast flashing. And
Yeah.
I don't think they're
Well,
understanding that part.
there's a lot of people that were like, well, I just put magnets in, or I just put weights in, you know, one side of the wing. It's like, yeah, I mean, we tried that. That's how you burn out the motors in like a year. I mean,
Yeah.
something being out of sync like that is not good for those motors at all.
No.
Not conducive.
Uh-uh. What's the word I'm looking for when it'll come to me later.
Out of balance? No.
Yeah, but it's like
Out of sync.
it's like centrifuge pretty much, right? Like if
Centrifugal
you have
force.
yeah, thank you. It's like everything has to be perfectly balanced to have that kind of centrifuge motion for that motor.
Yeah.
Otherwise it just all overweighted burns out.
Yeah. Now, the big innovation that you got to come out with is like truly floating wings, because I've hunted with a couple guys that set the robos up, and then I'm like, that one's missing a wing. Like, oh, it must have fallen out. Like, did you click it in proper? Like, what the hell? Then you can't.
Believe me,
like, oh, man.
I've donated at least one to Lake Simcoe. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that is one of the better things
and
about the corrugated, the corrugated ones, the old school, like they don't sink like the injection molded.
Mm-hmm. So,
oh yes, they do.
Not as fast, not as bad.
Yeah. You got time when you're running out, like if you see it, right? But now, what are the batteries in these? It's still the lithium batteries, like the new setups. Is that what's going on with these new ones?
It's the same. So We discontinued the HDI, which was our waterproof spinner the last few years. Kept that same waterproof setup, right? Same waterproof. It's the same waterproof brain box, right? Where the battery is and the remote compatibility and all that is in a, watertight box. But now this is just the updated version that has the wing stopper tech.
Yeah. What else have you guys come out with in the last little bit?
So there's 2 products. We came out with a bunch of different things, like custom dog nameplate for our kennel. We came out with like a collaboration with Bottomlands, but the 2 products I'm really stoked on. One is a floating ice eater, and
the Ice X.
The Ice X, and I am stoked about that thing. That's the product I'm most excited about, like by far. And because all of a sudden now you have walk-in capability with an ice eater, right? I mean, you can, for a guy like me that tends to hunt a lot of public, and ice was a real concern when you go. I mean, especially in South Dakota, you guys know it too, but I mean, you can get some of those cold nights where, yeah, sure, there's birds hitting a slough the night before, but you have 2.5 inches of ice by morning, right?
Yeah.
And so to be able to actually like walk in on spots like that and run an ice eater and not be a whole, I mean, it's still a production, but not for it to be a whole production of like tying ropes to steel stands to pull an ice eater up out of the mud, and even just the never-ending game of when you had to put those steel stand ice eaters in the water. You have to have 2 guys to adjust it, and you're going to get wet up to the shoulders anyway, putting those things in and out. So the fact that it floats is just makes it light, makes it easy, makes it clean. It's just better.
Now, do you still have to bring a generator in, or does it have one of those like 18 volt Milwaukee batteries?
Still gotta use a generator.
Yeah. That, I think that'll be the next thing coming, is just that floating system with like a couple of those 18 volt Milwaukee batteries, and just get at her.
I mean, as battery tech gets more capable, right? And the hard part, right, is just right now, like for a battery system to push out the amps required to run a motor like that, also to push those amps, push the voltage through those amps in that cold like that, like it just takes a lot of battery right now. But as these lithium ion cells get smaller and smaller, and companies like Tesla keep making these battery tech more advanced and smaller, like there will be a day where we can just hook a backpack battery up to these ice heaters.
Do you imagine
Decodium lithium or something?
Dude, there's gonna be so many late season greenheads getting shot.
Did you imagine if what's his face from Tesla is all
Elon?
Elon is like a major duck hunter, and he's like, okay, the next thing I'm gonna make is like an electric mud boat.
I don't think I would want to be caught dead in an electric mud boat, because you just spear one tree and then that thing.
Oh yeah, he'd figure that shit out.
You get shocked to death.
Yeah, he'd figure that out. But
new goal in life: take Elon duck hunting.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now my question. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
No. I was just going to talk more about Elon, but
my question to you, Sean, is the new design on the wings for the HDI. What went into that? Like they're like a completely and utterly different design from anything we've ever seen.
Yeah, they're way different. Honestly, just wanted something different, right? Yeah. And when you watch birds flapping those wings, right? We watch camera footage all the time, right?
Yep.
I mean, and ultimately you see like that wing is not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the classic wing look.
Like
but that wing doesn't look
like
the
teardrop.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a triangle like this when that duck is back flapping, right? You notice that it's got a pointed joint at the top of its wing. And then as he comes back down, right, the elbow's pointed down like that. And so you see on that wing, right, it's kicked, it's jointed towards the top and jointed towards the bottom. And it really just, you know, it more reflects what those wings look like when those birds are backpedaling. But even more than that, it's just something different to throw at the birds. It's a different.
That was one thing I noticed huge, like when the new decoy came out and the reels and clips and stuff are going. I'm like looking at the wing, I'm like, that is different. Like, what's the science behind this, and like why that shape, that design?
Yeah, I really want to do you know, it would take a lot of people, right? It would take like crowdsourcing, but I would love for guys to swap their wings every day for a whole season, right? And you know, see what guys see as a result. I honestly think there's going to just be a bigger difference people see because of the black felt. Like, you know, and so on the new wing, you can get them just the painted version, right? Or you can get the black, all black felt version.
But like I've seen the painted wings, and I'm like, the birds ain't seeing that.
Yeah,
like, at least in my opinion, a black and a white, or just like something dark brown, like whatever the case may be, something dark and white. Because that wing's spinning so fast, like you're not seeing like the feather detail, you're not seeing the speculum. Like it's that big contrast, which is what I feel sucks them in.
Yeah,
and if
we should do some drone tests, right, and see how far out it is that you notice that.
And like if the birds are in close enough to realize, well, you probably should be shooting them at that point.
Yeah,
I have a feeling Mr. Weaver's done some drone tests on that, hasn't he?
Gonna be doing a lot more too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crazy how even just that wing shape totally changes how your eye catches it, right? Like that, you know, in the past, this is 4 or 5 years ago now, I actually did some drone tests for Lucky Duck of their super lucky versus their just regular wing versus their junior wing versus their teal, and like how far out you can pick it up in drone footage, and actually see the wing. And you're up close and you look at the teal wing and you look at the super lucky wing, you know, and you're like, okay, like it's bigger, but and then you put it up in a you know, you put a drone up and you're like, oh, that's an insane more amount of flash, right?
Wouldn't it be wicked if you had like an unlimited budget, and when you see someone make a comment like, oh, just paint the bottoms black instead of white, you could be like, oh, well, here's a drone footage of.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the one that won that Powerball this week down in Florida, like the rest of my life would just be just be traveling around, screwing around with ducks and trying new duck stuff, you know, like
just 30 of those like spinners in one hunt, like nothing
oh
else.
I mean,
brought spinners. And
so that's actually on my docket of things to film this fall, is just doing 20 of the splashing duck butts, 20 of the agitators. I just want to hunt that.
Every splasher that I see come up for sale on Marketplace, I ask to go get, because I'm thinking of doing that too. But I usually miss out on them because I live so rural. But I'm trying to get enough that I can. Yeah, my goal was to do 10, but
that's gonna be. I think it works so well.
Yeah,
you know, I think it works so well.
Yeah, like you're gonna draw in all their attention. It's gonna look like chaos, and that's kind of what. Yeah.
Oh, dude. I mean, you look at a good coontail slough in South Dakota right at sunrise, as gaddies and widgeon and pintails are coming off of a main lake roost and hitting these small sloughs to eat. They are all butt up, right? It's just splash and splash and splashing. All you see is water droplets in the air. It's like that's what I want to replicate.
Would you bring
if I had an unlimited
right?
I mean, I would think I would bring a call, but I don't think I might just go widgeon whistle, right?
Yeah. Just
another thing I would do if I had an unlimited budget is I would figure out, damn it, I would figure out how to do a hologram in the sky for snow geese and create that tornado.
The vortex.
Oh yeah. That is the thing that like I've thought about for years. I want to figure that out so bad.
It's just a big projector.
See, this is why we need to get Elon into duck hunting.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if Elon was into snow goose hunting, all of a sudden he'd be like, we could do that.
Yeah. If any of our millions of listeners knows Elon personally, give him a shout. Tell him to come on. But Christ, I don't know, man. Some of the technology that's coming out, I keep saying every year, like it seems like a month ago that I was like, there's not going to be much more innovation. And then here you guys come out with this and a floating ice eater and the wings that you don't even have to like sit there and click your remote over and over and get mad at, and then your remote breaks. And like, is there more coming?
Yeah. I mean, there's always more coming for sure.
There's always more.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that he'd kind of be like, oh, of course we're doing this, but yeah.
Well, what do you want to know?
Yeah. We're actually working on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing that Sean, is there any other products that you wanted to talk about before from Lucky Duck?
The White Devil, which was my baby, that I really worked on a lot this year. I didn't do any of the design work or any of that, but I recorded all the sounds. And I spent all freaking spring on my belly crawling around, getting snow goose sounds and really creating a library of snow goose sounds. Because every snow goose call out there to me
sounds the same.
They sound pretty much the same. They don't
just the
focus
roaring
on
mumble, right?
Yeah.
Right. They don't focus on the quality of the sound. They focus on the volume of the sound. And I just absolutely think that's the wrong approach. I mean, when you are laying there in that snow goose blind, pretty much asleep, or definitely asleep, and it's a sunny middle part of the day, and all of a sudden you hear that, like that thing could be a mile up there, but it is crisp, it is in your ear, and it is always a different sound than the e-collars that are around you, right? You notice the real snow goose sound as a different sound and a different indicator to get your butt up and start shooting than your e-collar sounds. So I always thought that was a problem. And so I wanted to make snow goose sounds that sounded, as good as possible. And really put in the work. I mean, there's one of the sounds, it's called 300 corn feed. The ground was pretty frozen that day, and you can hear them ripping the frozen corn stalks off the ground as they yank them up out of the ice. And that to me was like, okay, I've got something here. I made some cool sounds.
And there's a video. I thought that it was you taking the video of this guy, but that was actually you with the microphone crawling on your belly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yep.
Holy shit. Man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's where your gear better have been good, because it looked like you were getting some wet and muddy and cold.
Oh, dude. But yeah. I mean, 5 weeks straight of it.
Yeah.
And then, the other aspect of that is there'll be a video coming out eventually here. I just have to finish editing it. We tested the sounds. It's like we spent some serious time getting the sounds, but then obviously wanted to make sure, they killed birds like we'd hoped. And me and my buddy Dom had a 50 bird day, just us two, just two guys laying in whites and socks over the new sounds, and we shot 50, and then we had a century mark day with a group of us. We had 105 bird day with a few of us, so they work. I mean, they rip.
How many Harold and Kumar jokes did you guys make? I don't know. Have you seen the outtakes from that movie? Oh man, there's an outtake on that. I
haven't.
And it's where the two chicks go into the bathroom and they're like, "Oh, let's play battle shits." And that it was actually two guys like sitting with microphones, like as people were taking shits, they were listening in. Like Yeah. I'm like, oh, that'd be prime joke time, right?
Oh, that's funny.
But
No, I have not seen those outtakes.
yeah, that's pretty good. So, do you think that, like, I really wish I could know what snow geese think of some of these e-collars, because even that day that I was hunting with Phil, like, it almost sounded like that. Like if it was a human talking on that, it almost sounded like the muffled microphone, like "Rah, rah, rah, report to the field office, blah blah blah," like.
Right.
And I'm
So
like, God.
that's another aspect of these speakers that's just different, right? There are Predator e-collar speakers.
Yeah.
So they've got, if you can actually look on that Revolt you have there, right? Like that top speaker there,
Yep.
that little guy, that's a tweeter speaker, right? And so that is for fine tuning those sounds and frequencies to get
It's your highs.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's something that the traditional horn speakers for snow goose hunting just don't have, right? They're
Yeah.
just the horn, no tweeter. So
Okay.
Well, it's just like a PA speaker.
yeah, it's really good. Sounds really good. Yeah.
So you
Yep.
guys were at recently the Delta Duck Expo. Were you showing
yeah.
off a lot of this new stuff?
Yeah, we had it all there.
And
Yep.
and what was the perception? Like, well, I'm going to Delta next year. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm taking
Do it,
off and
man.
going.
It's
Yeah.
such a fun time. It's such a good show. It's in Baton Rouge next year, just so you know, before you buy plane tickets. Don't go to Little Rock.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That's weird. There's
yeah.
nobody here.
That would be horrible. No, the perception that people loved it. People love what Lucky Duck has become as a brand, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think honestly, hindsight's 2020, but you look 5, 6, 7 years ago, I don't think there was quite the perception of Lucky Duck. I don't think Lucky Duck had earned a quality like a reputation for quality yet 7 years ago. 7 years ago is when the Lucky HD came out. Before that, Lucky Duck had some good products, but like it was still this kind of baby company compared to some of the competition, right? And it's just not the case now. I mean, it's just, Lucky Duck has came out with cool product after cool product especially the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, 4 years, between the kennel and the Predator collars and then, things like the waterproof spinner. It's like now when people show up at the Lucky Duck booth, they have like Lucky this response of like Lucky Duck's just killing it,
Yeah.
And the Ice X is, I think, the thing I'd say that the guys in the South, were most excited about, just because they've got duck clubs, right? And so those guys that have, rice holes that they run ice eaters on because, they got skim ice on them that screws their hunts most mornings in January. Like, they're like, oh, this is easy. This is way better than battling them big steel stands.
Do you think that ice eater is going to be something for mainly for clubs, or do you see a lot more people getting into it and using that for later, like extending their seasons now?
It's
Is that
purely an affordability problem, right? Like, if you can afford it, you can extend your season anywhere with it with ease, right? That is a product that you could actually go, I mean, I think of like personal application. Like, there is an area in South Dakota, there's an area in Nebraska, there's an area in Missouri that I hunt, that there's still birds all the way, like late, right? But they're out roosted on big water, right? They're inaccessible. And so you can't really hunt them very well. But now all of a sudden, you can walk in on public or walk in, on a slough and run traffic between them and their feed and have, you can go in there that night, know their feed line that evening, and burn a hole by morning. And all of a sudden, when they go to and from their feed the next day, they're coming over an open hole. And hit them with traffic. And that's, to me, the cool application of, like, we'll see how many people actually do it, because it's a very expensive product. But the guys that can afford to use it like that and also have the ambition to use it like that, I mean, it's going to be a wild product for them, because they can really just, you can be a mobile ice eater hunter using it as a traffic hunting tool, which nobody's been using ice eaters like that before, before.
And is there a low temperature limit on that thing? Like below 30 or whatever your temperature knows.
I mean, as long as there's open water under the ice, right? And if it's ice all the way to the bottom, you're screwed. But
yeah,
as long as you can get it into floating water, you're good.
And it's going to heat up into water, right? As long as it gets in the water. So you just
how it works, right, is it circulates the water underneath the ice up and melts the ice with the water down underneath. So as long as you got 16 inches of water, you're good.
Yeah, you just basically need to bust a hole.
Yep.
Get that in there, and it'll suck, which is inevitably the warmer water than the air temperature. And then between the moving, it keeps it getting, like, rivers don't freeze, right?
Right.
Moving water and whatnot. Well, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, you could ultimately get one of those freak scenarios that you see happen in, like, Montana and Wyoming, where when it gets so bitter cold that the river actually freezes from the bottom, like at waterfalls, right? Like the water runs over top of the ice. But that's only because, like, it gets, that bitter cold.
Yeah.
But
so
how long until that would take like -50?
Yeah. How long until we see other companies mimicking these products, do you think? Because, like, I used to be big into the, like, bow hunting and stuff, right? And I saved up, and I wanted the new Hoyt bow, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
And then I go on looking for reviews, and people are like, oh, if you look on eBay, it's listed as this, and it's just a knockoff that's like a third the price. And I'm going, well, is all products going to start doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously we've got patents on a lot of this stuff, right? But if they find another way to do it, right? If they find another way to do it that doesn't violate a patent, I mean, that's free market capitalism, baby. Like, we'll stay ahead of them and create, a different version of something that does it better too, right? I mean, Lucky Duck didn't modernize and come up with, the 6-volt spinning wing decoy, right? But make the best one now, So we didn't come out with the first electronic call, but make the best one now. So
and that's something that I was surprised at is, I think of Lucky Duck as just these spinning wing decoys, and then I go on the website and it's like, you got dog kennels, you got e-collars,
over 200 products now.
Yeah, and like you think Lucky Duck is just ducks, but no, it's there. You guys got a lot of stuff on there, and you got to go to the website and see it all, right? Like, we don't get the exposure in Canada here unless we go right to the Lucky Duck website. So
yeah, that's always so interesting for me, with just how close to the US you are, that you don't have that,
and
you're
how
so
much
dang
we
close.
suck.
Yeah, like, have you guys sent any of those new the new wing down, like the white down decoys up here yet? The new spinners.
I don't know if we have. I don't think so. No, though.
Like, no. Yeah, because usually we'll see something and it's new, and it's like, oh well.
I mean, we aren't even getting them sold on the website because we're selling them all to dealers right now, right?
Yeah.
So
it's
that's the interesting thing, man. I went to Argentina a few years back, and they were in their Michael Jackson phase. Like Thriller was like the hit song down there.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, wait, you guys are 20 years behind? Yeah. Like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I thought that was so fascinating that they were in their Michael Jackson phase in, whatever year it was, 2016, 2017. Like,
Yeah,
But
day late and $1 short.
But you still go down to like Mexico and they're all like, oh, tonight is the Michael Jackson show. And then like you get a bunch of resort, like it's kind of neat to see that. I
oh, it
totally
is.
see what
It's cool, man.
yeah.
I want to go down to Cuba just
Oh
to see
man,
all those old cars.
it is awesome.
That's
It's
so
really awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
You've been to Cuba?
Yeah. I was down there 2020, 2019, 2020.
Wait,
And
have Canadians always been allowed to go this whole time while we were
Yeah.
being?
But like,
Bro.
no restriction.
no restrictions on my flight. There was people from the US, like they came up to Toronto, got on the plane with us to go down to Cuba. And I was like,
That's hilarious.
what's going on here? Yeah.
The
Yep.
cigars ain't half bad down there either.
No, they can't be. No, that'd be great.
Yeah. And like
Wait,
it's really
do we
cool
have
to see.
Cuba sanctions again in the US? I don't even know. Can we go still? Because whoever lifted them, I can't remember if it was Obama or Trump. One of them did.
I was just about to make a joke about Biden, but I won't because yeah, I don't know how that stuff goes down there. Yeah.
Go ahead, make whatever jokes you want.
I just don't know like if he even knows what Cuba is, right? Like
No,
you see
for
some of
sure
these
not.
videos of him getting
He's
ice
like-
I'm
cream
not sure. I'm not sure he knows what
Cuba-
fucking day it is.
Cuba sugar?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no clue. He ain't got a clue.
But- yeah. No, and it's kind of neat to see like you go down there and there's all these like hand rolling cigar shops and it's really, really cool and like a lot of stonework and yeah, you definitely got to go down there, Sean. It's
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
The classic cars it's something to see, right?
Yeah, that's the real draw to me. It's just all those cool old cars they've taken care of.
Yeah. So what other expo, like you went to the Delta Expo, was there any other ones that you've gone to this year or you're set to go to this year?
I went to NWTF, back in February. I mean, Lucky Duck goes to a ton of them. We've got Luke Cramlett is our community marketing guy, and Luke goes to a ton of the shows. He's on show season right now. He's traveling around, hitting all the shows. He's at Game Fair in Minnesota this week, which is a big one for waterfowlers. That's a fun one, man. Game Fair's fun. I'm kind of bummed that I can't make it this year, but
When's
there's only so
Harrisburg?
much. That's always in the
still to go?
winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harrisburg's always winter. I can't remember when. Maybe January or Feb. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all kinds of shows. I mean,
It surprised me this year with the Toronto Sportsman Show. This was the first year having just a waterfowl area.
yeah,
And the amount of people that came through and talked and like wanted to know more about the products we had on display. And the next year,
Yeah.
like it's going to grow even more. Like I can't wait to see where it goes because we haven't had something like that up here. I guess, sorry, Grimsby's doing the Ducks Unlimited thing coming up. I guess for the people that are still listening, it's coming up this weekend.
yeah, we're kind of
19th.
spoiled as Americans on that, huh?
Yeah.
Because we've just always had so much of it, right?
Mhm. And it
Right.
just seems like more and more is coming up, like the Squad Fest, the RNT does their little show now for the Callapalooza, right? Like there's
Yeah.
all kinds of wicked shows down there, and then you got the decoy making shows, and you guys are
Yeah.
spoiled, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't even get an Ice X up here yet.
Yeah.
But
Well-
out of all the shows that you've been to, which ones would you suggest? Because
Oh,
I'm gonna go
man.
to as many as I can in the next couple of years, like for sure.
Mhm. The two best shows now for me are the Delta show and the NWTF show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're the two mega shows now. I mean, they're for hunters, right? The Iowa Whitetail Classic is epic if you're a deer hunter. I haven't done Harrisburg. That thing's a full-blown marathon though, right? I mean, that thing's like 10 days straight. Yeah, I mean, for me, as far as like rubbing shoulders with waterfowlers and getting to see waterfowlers and hang out with waterfowlers and meet all the guys you'd ever want to meet, and you can't beat the Delta Expo. It's the best for that. And then NWTF is just awesome because there's just so many people of all the whole hunting world. And then for waterfowl, just like getting to spend face-to-face time with other duck and goose guys, call makers, decoy brands, etc. Game fair in Minnesota. But like, I don't know if game fair is something I would like come from out of country for, but if you're in the Midwest, it's worth going to. It's super cool. It's so fun.
Yeah. Sorry, Phil, did you have something there?
No, sir.
Okay. No. So we've talked about this fall. You're thinking of doing all these like drone footage, and is there any other big plans that you got? Any big hunts maybe coming up to Ontario? Any of that stuff going on?
I will come to Ontario this fall.
I know.
I'm
gonna be like 20 minutes from me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hanging out in like I'm gonna be in Detroit area and Lake St. Clair area and all that this fall. So yeah, I definitely gonna come to Ontario. Definitely. I don't have to get vaxxed now to come there, right?
No.
I don't know.
Okay, that's cool.
No, those days are long over. That's so 2020.
Well, I didn't know, man. I knew that for 2 years there I couldn't come to Canada, and it was a real bummer.
Yeah, and
No, I went down to Arkansas back in January for a 3-day hunt, and like it's no questions asked. Status quo.
Nice, cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I really want to get up to Ontario and hunt and do quite a bit of hunting.
Now, you said you're hunting St. Clair. Are you hunting it American side or Canadian side? I think we know. I think you and I talked about who you're going with Ontario side if you come up, but
yeah, I'm gonna do both hopefully.
Okay.
But yeah. I definitely I just want to hunt a bunch up there.
Well, come up my way and we'll shoot big fat Canadas.
Where are you at, Phil?
I'm like about 45 minutes northeast of Toronto.
The dirty Schwa.
Port Perry.
Port Perry, same shit. Oshawa.
How is that spelled?
Port.
Yeah.
As in like port of the sea, and then Perry, Perry.
Let me see where this is. Got
that was
a map pulled up.
You just made a police officer spell.
That's funny.
Yeah, you want to come up here, Sean, and shoot big Canadas, but you say the word.
Okay, I'll do that. Hey, did they ever find that thing they shot down over Lake Huron? That was the last time we talked.
That was actually, it happened like right when we started talking. We were like,
yeah,
on our phones, like, holy shit, like what's going on here? Yeah. No, I don't think they ever found anything there. But
so you hunt honkers around like Simcoe and all that, huh?
Oh, I don't go as that. I don't go as that far. Like I'm hunting Whitby, Oshawa, so like literally
nice.
15 minutes south of my house.
What's the 21-day period of the year that you say is the best?
Well, let's see, it's all weather dependent, but you can't go wrong with November.
Yeah.
Because
how late do you guys get to kill geese?
Christmas.
Around New Year's.
It's usually December 25th to the 27th is when somewhere around there is the last day.
And what it depends. Freezing or end of season?
No, that's the end of season.
Okay, got it.
So with us, certain areas, Sean, you're allowed to Sunday gun hunt. In certain areas, you're not allowed to Sunday gun hunt.
What do you mean Sunday gun hunt? It's like
the day of
you
rest.
Can bow hunt, but you can bow
hunt. Yeah, you can bow hunt for like deer and whatever else.
Get the hell out of here!
Like it's like this is a thing. Like going back.
Well, that's all blue blood laws, huh?
But it's
wait a minute though.
It's God's day of rest, right?
But because of that, we also get a week in the spring
a week at the end of February, beginning of March, where we can do our late goose, and it's 10 birds a day limit.
Dude, I want to do that.
Yeah, man.
I want to do
But
that.
for the most part, our goose
It's
season
end of
ends-
February.
Yeah,
It's-
end of February, beginning of March for like 7 or 8
Dude,
days.
I could come do that and then
Snow
go
goose?
straight to South Dakota for snow goose. Oh,
Yeah.
or snow goose hunt up there.
But yeah, we're 10 Canadas a day, and there's no possession limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got no possession limit for Canadas in Ontario. You can shoot your daily limit every day for like the 105 days.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
You
That's a
you are
that talk about
slowly
meat in the
losing your
freezer.
mind. I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, there like I'm as America as it gets, but you guys do have some pretty cool hunting stuff in Canada.
Well,
I
the
hope
best part is that-
Ontario doesn't go the route of Manitoba.
Yeah, and that was kind of neat too, because the last time you and I were talking, we were just starting to roll with all that stuff too, and talking about it. And you posted about it. We did a
Mhm.
podcast about it with Sean Stahl, and
Yeah.
I know it kind of, you're kind of not hearing much about it now though. So hopefully,
Well, because you're screwed.
yeah,
Like,
Uh,
it's just like what's a guy do now? I mean, Manitoba passed it, so
Well, I
like,
think
what's
in
a-
fairness,
but-
like you look at the waterfowl hunting from Ontario in comparison to see like Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, we suck. For
But
lack of a better
see-
term, we suck. And like
but
the
see,
shit that's going down in Manitoba, you won't see here.
But the thing is like that they haven't even seen the uptick in licenses. Like they're still only selling like 2,000 non-resident licenses a year. It's not even
Yeah.
that many. It's like nothing. It's like small potatoes. Like South Dakota has like 6,000 non-residents, and everyone clamors over how South Dakota has no non-resident hunters. I mean, like Manitoba is a third of that, and
Well,
way bigger place, way bigger place
funny
with
thing
way
is-
more
is-
birds to hunt.
There's more duck stamps, and like we've said this 1,000 times on the show, there's more duck stamps sold in Arkansas than there is across Canada.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And even then, half the duck stamps sold in Canada are to Americans, give or take.
That's hilarious.
Because it's everyone
you know,
coming up to hunt
I've
Alberta,
heard-
Saskatchewan, and whatnot.
Hey, I'll say this. I've heard you guys talk a lot of smack, not you guys specifically, just people in Ontario about Ontario's hunting. But you guys smash. Like you guys shoot a lot of birds. So I don't understand the hate.
This is
You're
like-
working for it.
this is
Listen,
you're working for it.
Yeah, but let me tell you, we work for it in South Dakota. Like it's 250 miles a night scouting every night to even get permission on a field.
I think this is just like for like 3 or 4 weeks straight, we had guys on from Ohio, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, it's great hunting if you go to Dakota, and we're kind of centered everything. Ohio sucks, but and we're in Ontario, and it's just like, yeah, Ontario sucks. Go to Saskatchewan." It's like,
Well,
like,
yeah, I
stay
mean,
away from
everyone,
us.
listen, I get it. Like everyone does push everyone towards prairie pothole country, right? Like Saskatchewan, North Dakota, South Dakota. I get why everyone pushes everyone there because that's 50% of all birds are created there. But like, it doesn't change the fact that like the pressure in North Dakota and South Dakota is getting heavy, right? And like and the farmers are getting sick of it. The farmers are annoyed. So like South Dakota's a double whammy of like, well, not necessarily double whammy, but South Dakota's in the position now where like your problem isn't that birds. There's plenty of birds. There's always been plenty of birds. It's that you can't get permission. I mean, I got turned down on 18 feeds in one day. 18.
Oh God.
Yeah. And so it's like, sure, yeah, it's the land of milk and honey as far as the amount of birds there, right? But the competition is getting thick for sure.
So we touched on Manitoba, right? And there's not really much
Yeah.
else we can do, but I'm kind of worried that Saskatchewan's going to watch and model what they're doing. That's
I mean, here's where I come down on that, man. I am I am a fiercely free market, red-blooded American, right? I want people to be able to make money doing something they enjoy and love, and I want them to be able to take care of their families. And I understand that even America is not that as much that way anymore. Canada certainly is not as much that way anymore. And where I have a problem with it is not, okay, South Dakota is a draw system for waterfowl. If South Dakota changes that, I'm going to yell from the rooftops that I don't think they should change it. Whether they change it to a tighter draw or no draw, right? Whether they ban non-residents completely or whether they open it up completely, I'm going to cry uncle and say no, because I don't like government rug pulling on people. I don't like the idea that someone who doesn't hunt or doesn't have anything to do with hunting, and it doesn't affect their business or their family or their mortgage, can just go yank the rug on somebody. I hate it. I think it's criminal. And so where I come to this is like with the Manitoba thing, like a friend of mine their family owns a cabin and land in Manitoba with the purpose of it being their family hunting camp. They've owned it for years and years and years. They're from Minnesota. Now they're restricted in their ability to go hunt their own property, their own land. I think that's absolutely criminal. Likewise, for Saskatchewan, if Saskatchewan all of a sudden goes rug pulls on people who have taken out mortgages and loans to build businesses, to build lodges, to build cabins, to all the things, then if you're gonna go outlaw all that stuff, then they need to be financially compensated for it. Because if tomorrow all of a sudden Congress decided to say spinning wing decoys are illegal while none of them duck hunt, right? Then I'd be out of a job. I have an inability to pay my rent. I have an inability to pay for my truck, etc. I think that's wrong. I don't think they should have the right to do that to people. So that's where I come down on the Kansas and their new laws and Manitoba and their new laws and all these changes of the status quo that government wants to pull across Canada, across the United States. It's like they're doing it just to do it, man. They're like passing new laws just to pass new laws without any data to even back it up. Like they don't even, Manitoba had no data to back up their claims. Kansas has no data to back up their claims, and it drives me freaking nuts.
No, it's just people. It's just politicians trying to justify their existence. Is all it is.
Exactly.
And they're appeasing the masses, right? Like nobody needs to hunt anymore because you can just put on some virtual reality glasses and start shooting birds in your fucking living room. No, I'm serious. That there's probably some of them out there that think, what's the difference? And they don't
just
see
shovel another spoon of Kraft mac and cheese in the mouth and play duck hunt.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't see half of our fun is actually the scouting and the going out and hearing them and seeing them. I would take going out, scouting, doing everything perfectly right, sitting there freezing my ass off, having my duck blind meal, and not getting a bird that day than sitting in my living room with a fucking VR headset on.
I mean, the part for me becomes like, where do you draw the line? These the same people crying about wanting this Kansas rules, right? The same people being like, get rid of non-resident hunters, begging for more laws and more regulation from government are the same people that are right now complaining about new laws and regulations from the government. It's like, why are we just looking at it that's the solution here across the board? I don't get when hunters became a group that says, daddy, come save me from the other hunters. Like, I just don't understand when that happened. And I hate seeing it. I hate seeing everyone think that what they want out of the whole deal is just more government intervention.
Do you think it came around the same time that there used to be a time where, like, if you were a hunter, you were also a gun shooter and part of the gun club and all that stuff, and now it's kind of, I've noticed in my area, like, we've got the groups of hunters, then we've got the sports shooters, then we've got the, it's kind of all splitting up.
I think it's a just culture wide problem, right? I don't, it's probably not fair of me to just point at hunters and say it at all, because like it's everybody, right? Everybody is trying to manipulate new laws and rules and regulations in their behalf right now. Like that's like the movement right now. So it's not fair of me to single out hunters on that.
But it's a good example, right? It's a good grouping example.
Right. And so it's like, but it pains me to see that like hunters would go, and instead of saying, how can we grow the pie? How can we make more hunting access and more hunters and more hunting opportunity and more ducks? I say this over and over again, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. If there was 250 million ducks in the continent-wide duck survey this year instead of 40 million, there was all of a sudden 250 million, you wouldn't hear a peep from duck hunters this year about needing new rules and regulations, right? And everyone would be shooting so many ducks, their freezers would be full. They'd be wondering what to do about their possession limits. They'd be eating duck for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They'd be giving it to their friends, their friends' friends, their family's friends. There would be so much duck hunting going on. No one would be like, well, we need outlaw non-residents. You'd be calling your buddy from Arkansas and you'd be saying, come on over here to Kansas. We're shooting the heck out of them. He'd be like, I don't need to come over there because we're shooting the heck out of them. And so if everyone would just get way more focused on growing the number of ducks, growing the amount of ducks we have in the continent. Sorry about the whining dog. If everyone would just focus on growing the amount of waterfowl there is on the continent and putting our energy and time and resources into, okay, how can we make more duck hunters and more ducks, and more duck hunting access, then nobody would be fighting over this crap. And you gotta get everyone back into a growth mindset. We grow out of our problems in North America. We don't protect ourselves from problems. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. That's Europe. Europe does that. We don't do that. Not here.
Do you see the role of social media helping this? Because a lot of what you see is the viral stuff. Like what you just said right there. I can clip that, put that on TikTok, send it to you to put on your Instagram. You might get 1,000 likes. But if you did that in a bikini, you'd probably get 10,000. You know what I mean? Like, or
I don't think I might, just because guys are laughing about it.
Right. But if you made a video doing something stupid, or you see these fish videos on TikTok now where they're like, they catch the fish, they spit in the fish's mouth and they throw it back in upside down. Like,
that's
flip it back
insane. That's real.
Yeah. And that's getting a lot of attention, right? But that's, people are like, that's funny, but that's hurting everything.
Yeah, and some people just go back to eating Tide Pods.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I really do think that if people would start thinking like, hey, we should be using this to try and promote and help what's going on, saying shit like what you were just saying there, that it would do a lot more for us as hunters in society than spitting in a goose's mouth and flipping it on the fucking pile, right? Like,
of course,
I'm not saying I've never seen
that. Yeah,
I've never, but that's what, like, if you took a video spitting in a goose's mouth and flipping it, that's going to get more traction out there, and people are going to see that more than you saying something. Well, how many likes did your Manitoba post get? You know what I mean? It did get a lot.
Know. Yeah, it did decent. It got a lot of comments, but no, I get what you mean. I mean, I've posted stuff that's got a lot more views and been more viral just by it not being political, right?
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying and agree with what you're saying, but I think it's like a what am I trying to say? It's for sure it's partly a symptom of the whole weak men make hard times thing, right?
Fuck,
Rogan talks about it all the time.
I was just about to say that quote like 2 minutes ago
Yeah.
when we were talking about like the way things are going.
It's for sure a symptom of that, right? But I also think to be white pilled and to look at the positive here, I do think a lot of people are waking up to it and saying, I have had enough. There's something broken here. Something about this is not right. What are we going to do about it? And that's where you get the interest in guys like Rogan and Vivek Ramaswamy and Robert Kennedy Jr. Like the interest in these guys is because they're just authentic human beings that want to grow this country rather than tear it down. And people are sick of the message of tear it down. People want to see the return of the growth mindset. People want to grow. They want to go grow in the ability to buy a house and have a family and all that. And they're sick of being told that they're evil for wanting that. They're evil for wanting a new vehicle or buying a new car or buying a new house or whatever, or having kids. And so it's like people want to get back to that grow the pie mindset that America and North America has traditionally been. And I think hunting has always been a lag in everything, in its marketing and its people. Sorry, hold on 1 second. My dog's whining like a son of a gun. Come here, Case.
Dog just wants some love.
That's just it, right? And
That's
dogs
it.
are a big part of what we do. And my dog fucking jumped up on the counter and started eating the pasta yesterday. And as mad as I was at her, the second I saw her, I'm like, ah, fuck, I still love you. I feel bad because last year I didn't get to hunt her and I took her to the vet. And the vet was like, your dog's kind of got fat over the last year. I'm like, yep, that's because I was laying on a couch on morphine, not doing shit, and neither was she. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
crazy. What it is.
It's crazy to see when you take a dog that dog hunted and trained and ran and you didn't change his diet. The only thing you changed is the fact that like I wasn't exercising that dog because I was out of service, and then that dog, what happened to that dog, right? So anyway.
Anyway, I can probably get off my high horse here, but really
keep going.
My point is just like, I think that and sorry about that. I think that my point is really that hunters have always been a laggard. Like, okay, what we started doing with short films in the hunting industry and telling those short stories, these 7-minute emotional films, we started doing that 7, 8, 10 years ago. The ski industry was doing it 20 years ago, right? Like hunting has always just kind of been a laggard, right? Look at TikTok or YouTube. Hunting and YouTube, or hunting YouTube and hunting TikTok are way more like immature and less developed than a lot of other industries and categories, right? So hunting's always been a laggard. And I think that goes for all things. I think the pervasiveness of that victim mindset that's permeated culture in a lot of other places and other ways for the last 20 years is now really just becoming embedded in the hunting community. So I think we're going to have to deal with it for a while. But then I ultimately hope and think that a bunch of hunters also wake up to it and say, you know what, let's quit the whining. Let's quit this protectionist mindset of like, I don't want you coming and hunting in my state. And, I don't want to be friends with a guy from Iowa, says the South Dakotan, or, I don't want to be friends with a guy from Missouri, says the Kansan. And it's like, okay, let's move beyond that, and let's figure out how we can grow 250 million ducks in the prairie pothole region. Let's figure that out. Let's care about that. And I think that is ultimately where it has to go, right? Because otherwise the whole thing will sink or swim. Like it's either we get to that where all hunters come together and understand that we have to have more hunters and more money and more ducks for us to sustain. We have to care more about things like tiling and tilling in the Midwest. We have to care more about why the pintail drake to hen ratio in the Pacific Flyway is somehow 8 drakes to 1 hen right now. What's happening to all the hens? Why are they dying? We have to care more about things like that than I don't like how that guy hunts my public area next to me. So.
Oh man, I forgot to send you that episode that I did that you were supposed to be on with me where I talked to that scientist. I got to send you that one.
Yeah, please do.
That was some
please
cool
do.
shit that he was talking about. Like,
yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, he was a bit. I just got COVID right beforehand, and I was sick as a dog. And I'm like, I think you can see in the episode the point where I just collapsed. Like I was just done, but I still want him to give the information out, right? But yeah, that dude had a lot of cool stuff to share, and he knew a lot of stuff that, yeah, it was good. But I do see that there's more and more people and science and technology that's going to be used more to get more ducks coming in as well.
Totally, man.
And we see these and the reason I brought that guy up was because we were just talking earlier about using drones to see like what your spinning wings are doing. They're using these drones to see like we're now seeing, okay, well, where are these ducks right now? And
so I actually talked on the stage at Delta about this specifically, that I was making the case for why hunters should be pro technology and pro free market capitalism, because we are the beneficiaries of it. And ultimately the argument was like, because of technology, right? Because someone saw a financial way to make money off of GPS technology, we now get the trickle down benefits of that, of guys like Doug Osborne at Osborne Labs using GPS trackers to track duck movements, right? We get the benefits of even the Lucky Duck Revolt being able to kill coons. We get the benefit of thermals. You can go whack a bunch of raccoons with thermals. Save nesting. We're absolutely going to continue seeing more technology expose how bad tiling and tilling is for the prairie. Like technology, hell, look at the regenerative agriculture movement. If it wasn't for no-till planters, which would not exist if it wasn't for technology and wasn't for capitalism, no one would have said, let's build a no-till planter. But because those two things came together and created a no-till planter, now you have a farming movement in South Dakota, North Dakota, Kansas, even Saskatchewan, of people saying, let's focus on biomimicry of what the plains originally were. Well, as more and more farmers move towards farming with a biomimicry mindset of let's make our farm as match as close as possible what the prairie would have acted like and looked like 250 years ago, 300 years ago. As they do that, well, we are going to be the beneficiaries. There's going to be more ducks because of that. There will be more duck nesting. There will be more habitat for ducks to nest in. We'll get rid of predators better. There will be more equilibrium of predators on the landscape. There won't be so many dang raccoons, etc. And the ability for these scientists to use technology right now to give us more information and more ability to benefit ducks and benefit ourselves is something that people should be like stoked about. Everyone should be talking about that. Everyone should want to focus on that. Not and listen, I get the gripe. I get the Kansas hunter that's upset that he doesn't have anywhere to hunt right now. I get the Arkansas guy that was sick of 100 Georgia license plates at the public area he grew up hunting. And all of a sudden his duck hole, he doesn't have room to hunt in. I get the gripe. I totally get it. I'm just saying, let's not go after the symptom. Let's go after the problem, right?
So we've hit the 1 hour mark, but I really want people to be able to listen to more of your messages. So Sean, just as a final thought, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you and the best places to listen to. I guess your Instagram is where I would go, right? Is that?
Yep. Go to my Instagram. Yeah. I mean, I'll be, as fall comes around, going to be doing a lot more podcast stuff, a lot more filming stuff, really going to push back into content. I've taken a little bit of a hiatus for a while. Off-season marketing stuff, but as hunting season rolls around, I'm going to push content real hard and get real lean and mean on the content front. So hit me on Instagram and you'll see all the stuff there.
Yeah. So I will link your Instagram to all the stuff that we post. And for anyone that's listening, what Sean just admitted to is that he loved being on our podcast so much that he's going to keep podcasting with others. That's exactly what he just said.
I love being on your podcast. Love it every time.
Good, man. Good. And hopefully next time it'll be when all 5 of us can be on and we can really grill your brain about everything, right? Because there's
I'm
actually
gonna come see you guys in Ontario this fall. How's that sound?
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. And
you're always welcome up here, Sean.
Yeah. It'd be a good time.
Would love to do that.
Phil, I'll give you your last word.
Sean, as an icon and a pinnacle in the industry of waterfowling, it's an absolute honor and pleasure once again to have you on the show. It means the world to us. Keep putting out the content that you do and the products from Lucky Duck. Like, again, you guys are nailing it. You're just innovators, leaders. Like, it's amazing, and just keep going. Don't stop.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Sean, any last words?
Have fun, people. Love life. Go do fun shit.
Yeah,
that's my last
100%.
That's my last message.
Yeah,
100%. Keep it fun.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. This was a long one, but there was a lot of great information in there. If you want to reach out to Sean Weaver, we're going to tag him on everything and listen to what he's saying. He kind of, before a lot of the issues come up, you can see him on Sean's page. So it's a good one to follow there. If you guys are wanting to see us, most of us are going to be down at the Duck Expo down in Grimsby on the 19th. That'll be the weekend coming once this is posted. So hopefully we see you all there. And again, surround yourselves with good people. Thanks for listening, everybody.